Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crossing Kin. I'm Kristen.
I thought I banned that thing from the garage.
No,
Oh,
no. And as
it's
you,
back.
he's Randy, and
It's
as
like Chucky or a gremlin. Can you get rid of it? I mean, no.
no,
I mean,
no, he's
how
staying
many
right
how
there.
many movies did it actually appear in? One.
Multiple.
I'm Randy, and that's the
This is the sorting hat, and as you can tell by our sorting hat, it is time once again to return to our sorting videos.
It's Crossing Kin here, and this is coming to you from the Crossing Kin garage.
Today we are going to be sorting some characters into Harry Potter houses. The way this works, we take a batch of characters from a movie, a television series, what have you, and we sort them into the Harry Potter houses.
Kristen, you are
Ravenclaw.
okay. I don't.
And I've told him multiple times he's a Hufflepuff. He denies it, but he is a Hufflepuff.
Okay. Four houses. Sorry. Gryffindor. Their characteristics are courage and strong willingness. Slytherin. Cunningness and ambition. Ravenclaw. Wisdom and creativity. And Hufflepuff. Loyalty and kindness.
And today we are going to be taking characters from the Kelvin timeline of Star Trek. We are not going to be talking about the original series or any other expanded media, just the 7 characters that we've picked from the Kelvin timeline of Star Trek.
Now, if you don't know what all that means, go back to the OG series and start all over.
Paramount Plus has all of the Star Trek, so just go to Paramount Plus, type in Star Trek, and start wherever the heck you want. All right, so the characters we are going to sort are Kirk, Spock, Uhura, Bones, Scotty, Sulu, and Chekhov. And we're, of course, going to start with our captain, Captain James Tiberius Kirk, as played by Chris Pine.
Very, very brilliantly played by Chris Pine.
Oh, man, he does such a good job.
In this reboot, the cast is, we've talked about this before with this. It is just absolutely outstanding as far as a homage to the original series and a freestanding addition to the Star Trek universe.
All right. So I honestly think Kirk is probably the easiest person to sort. So let's just go. 3, 2, 1.
Slytherin.
What?
Yes, he's Slytherin.
Okay, where on earth do you get ambition from Chris Pinekirk? Where do you get cunningness from Chris Pinekirk? He is the most brave and stubborn idiot in the thing, and that is what defines Gryffindor.
Kobayashi Maru.
Oh, brother. It's Ravenclaw thing. If you're gonna... Only a Ravenclaw would have made
and ambition.
No.
Slytherin.
He is not.
He will do anything to get his own way.
Oh my gosh.
He is. Chris Pine. Yep, that's him. Captain Kirk is Slytherin.
No, he's not. Y'all back me up in the comments. No. All right, moving right along. We have Spock as played by Zachary Quinto. Personally, I think he's probably the best cast. Again, the entire cast is brilliant.
And the fact that Nimoy shows up later on is a cool deal. You know, Spock seeing Spock is, it's just creative, just incredible storytelling in the later 2 films. All
right. Spock into a Hogwarts house. 3, 2, 1. Ravenclaw. Okay, good. Yeah, like there's nowhere else he could go. Despite him being a Vulcan, he is very creative in his tactics. He is incredibly intelligent, which is another trait of the Ravenclaw house.
One thing, however,
and he has a dry wit.
In our definition, wisdom, and there's a difference between wisdom and intelligence.
Well, they're both part of the Ravenclaw house.
Okay.
There are multiple traits. That was just the only 2 I could fit on the page.
Okay. Wisdom is part, but I do want to detail the fact that there is a difference between the 2. Spock is incredibly intelligent, but he has the wisdom to use that intelligence to benefit his Slytherin counterpart in Captain Kirk.
All right. We agree on that one, so we're just gonna move right along. Ahura, as played by Zoe Saldana, she does such a good job in this role.
She really captured what Nichelle Nichols, um, the standard that Nichelle Nichols set up with this.
I will also say, I think this was the first role we ever saw Zoe Saldana in, and she has used this role of Ahura to springboard herself into A, being the sci-fi woman you cast, a la the Marvel Universe and Avatar. B, she's one of the most high-paid actresses in Hollywood because she has three major franchises under her.
She's very well sought after.
She's
She
an excellent actress. All
definitely.
right. Ahura's the one I kind of have the most struggle with, but I think I know where I want to put her. Uh, you know who you want?
Hmm?
3, 2, 1. Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Good. Yeah, she is probably the bravest of all of them because she literally runs around the ship while it's exploding trying to keep her boys in line. I very nearly put her in Slytherin because of how she manages to get on the Enterprise
That's a good
by
point.
basically blackmailing Spock.
Yeah, that's a very good
But
point.
the way she does it is she just tells him, "No, I'm on the Enterprise," which strong will to say the least.
And the interaction between Zoe Saldana and Zachary Quinto in this in that role, there were some hints at it in the OG series, but never overt like it has been, and that's something that fans really have been clamoring for, and it's precious. It's absolutely wonderful in the role.
Mhm.
I tend to agree. Her courage is obvious. Her strong will, I think,
Mhm.
more so than cunningness, with regards to how she gets on the Enterprise, it's
Following two movies, she's
without
again,
doubt.
she's very courageous. She beams down onto the thing when Spock is having his minute beating up Benedict Cumberbatch and is able to talk down a mad Vulcan.
Right.
So
That's hard to do.
tis. All right, moving right along, we have Bones, Dr. McCoy, as played by Carl Urban. This is the casting that made the original Sulu cry at the premiere because Carl Urban was so much like DeForest.
Kelly,
Thank you.
yeah. Carl Urban in this role. I've seen him in several other things. Most of the time, kind of a bad character,
Mm,
except in Lord of the
there
Rings.
you go. I was about to say.
He is. We love Carl Urban because of his casting in Lord of the Rings. But this was absolutely, I think it's a better casting than Zachary Quinto in Spock's role, personally. I think Carl Urban mastered DeForest Kelly in this role. And he added the humor that I think they really wanted to do in the OG, but they just didn't have enough time.
No,
Um,
because it was Spock and Kirk's show in the
it was
OG.
absolutely incredible. And in all three of the films, it's incredible the comedic timing that
His
Carl Urban has and the absolutely great storytelling and writing for that character. I tend to, I mean, in the first movie, Carl Urban had me in Bones' spot. I mean, it's absolutely precious.
his interactions with Spock, like just their frenemy relationship in this timeline
Yeah.
is one of the best. All right,
So where does
Bones.
Bones go? Where does he go?
3, 2, 1.
Hufflepuff.
Ravenclaw. I thought about Hufflepuff too, but I think because of his wit as well as his intelligence, he is actually probably the wisest person on the ship.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And he's the doctor, so of course he's intelligent. He's also very creative in how he has to patch these people up.
Well, and some of the things that he does to help Kirk get on the
Are also very
Enterprise,
creative,
they are
yes.
very creative. However, they stem from loyalty as well. Um,
I'll give you he could go in either.
as a physician, kindness is part of that role. I mean,
His bedside manner stinks.
his well, tough love kind of thing, I suppose. But it is here, please wipe that dust off. Put a little dirt on it, kind of thing.
It's
And
America.
but his wisdom, especially later on in the Cumberbatch one, in the Con movie,
Into Darkness.
Into Darkness, is his wisdom to create something out of nothing.
That That's Ravenclaw, buddy. You're
Well,
supposed to be fighting for Hufflepuff.
he could be either. Honestly,
He
really,
could.
he could. I think ultimately, though, he's Hufflepuff just because it is obvious that once he makes a friend, he will always be a friend, even to a frenemy like Spock.
Tell us who's right down in the comments below.
Hufflepuff.
Moving right along, we have Scotty as played by Simon Pegg.
I'm giving it all I can, Captain.
Yes, and again, like we've said multiple times, this cast just does a great job of paying tribute to their original roles,
without doubt.
And I think Simon Pegg went the hardest.
If you'll pardon the pun, he pegged it.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yes, dad jokes do exist in the Crossing King garage.
Okay. Anyway, Simon Pegg, we don't get him until near the third act of the movie, and I think that's my one thing. I appreciate that they greatly expand his role in the other two films, but he goes missing for a good bolt of Into Darkness. Like he leaves the ship.
Well, let's face it,
for a little bit, but Simon Pegg is busy.
He had to go save Tom Cruise.
Yes, he did. He had to go.
He had an impossible mission to go fix.
Beyond, I think he got a little bit of a bigger role just because he didn't have a Mission Impossible movie to film around the same time. But I was sad that we didn't get him until near the end of the first one, and then he's gone for a good portion of the second one. So Scotty, where do we put him? 3, 2, 1.
Gryffindor.
We are just disagreeing left, right, and out the window today.
Gryffindor.
I say Hufflepuff just because of the fact that he is the Team Cinnamon role. He is kind to literally everybody. He'll get a little up in your face, but that's also the Hufflepuff trait. If they know that you're being stupid, they call you out on it because of their loyalty to you.
I think in the Kelvin timeline, he is more strong-willed than in the OG series. But in this, they've given him a little bit more credence to find his own way and to buck orders and to just do the right thing even when he's told not to.
I can see that. I think Scotty's a lot like Bones. He could very easily go into either.
Right.
I think Scotty could go into all four houses pretty easily.
The problem with a lot of the a lot of the Star Trek characters that we're talking about. They could go in a multiplicity of houses. But when this thing would decide,
I mean, knowing Scotty would probably ask to be in a particular house.
That's true.
He would pull a Harry and just ask to be in a specific house, but I honestly don't know what house he would pick. Simon,
what do you think?
If you happen to watch this, please tell us which house would your Scotty pick? Because quite honestly, that's what it would come down to.
More than
Scotty.
likely. Sure.
I still say Hufflepuff just because of how loyal he is to Kirk, despite their falling out in the second one.
I don't think he's a Slytherin, though.
Oh, no. No. So, up next, we have Sulu, as played by John Cho. They beefed his character up in this trilogy.
And some of that was forced by the untimely death of Anton.
Yeah.
I think some of that was forced.
A little bit in the third one, because I think Anton passed, and we'll talk about that in a minute, not too long before filming was complete. Like, filming was mostly complete, but there was some pickups that had to be done. Right? Third one. Okay. Anton didn't pass away until the third one. So I think in the first one, they really knew they needed an action scene, and because Sulu had the sword, that made for an excellent action scene.
True that.
So they had John Cho, and why on earth would you waste a good, and I will be very honest, beautiful actor like John Cho? He is very, very handsome.
I'm not familiar with him outside of the Star Trek universe. Do you know of anything else?
I've seen him in a couple of other things. I know he had a short-lived comedy on ABC called Selfie. He was in also short-lived Flash Forward with Joseph Fiennes. Right. And Dominic Monaghan, and he was really, really good in that. He's had a few other bit parts. He was on an episode of ER, as was Anton, and as was Chris Pine. A lot of these actors kind of got their first roles on ER. that, which is just a little aside that I found. But yeah, John Cho is a very good actor, and I wish I saw him more. He's kind of getting a little bit more into the suspense genre.
Mm,
The most recent thing I've seen a trailer for him in is um a more suspense type, almost horror movie
mm,
thing. I've not seen it, but the trailers make it look really suspenseful, and it looks like John does an excellent job. I think it's called like Searching.
okay.
I think it's called Searching. Um. So anyway, he plays Sulu, and Sulu. What is Sulu the pilot?
Sulu
The
is
Sulu drive?
Sulu basically drives. Yes, and I want to say this too. The Kelvin timeline. Again, we've talked about the fact that it is so um, embraced by my generation. The majority of mine. Of course, there are some naysayers out there,
Always will be.
but they do a very good job as his role is expanded in the movies. His role was expanded in the original television show as
That's
well.
true.
So, I mean, Sulu's role just oh, very, very, and extremely. I tell you what, the casting director needed a bonus on
For how
this,
he casted
yeah,
this
or
movie,
how well they
he or
casted,
she.
yeah, how well they casted this film, or the reboot. I'm just telling you, the folks who were doing this reboot did a magnificent job of just
J.J. Abrams probably had a
I
lot
mean,
to do
had a
with
lot to
it.
do with it, and it's just the because of the actors that they chose so well fit with the familiar of the OG.
All
So where
right.
does Sulu belong? Ha! Hey, where does Sulu belong?
That's not his job today. It's
Oh,
ours.
it's our job. Okay,
We don't have Sulu here to put him on.
I'm not as wrinkled as that thing is. So
All right.
yet,
Sulu. Three, two, one.
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
The
although
jumps out of a spaceship onto a giant laser drill. Like
yeah, it's without a doubt Gryffindor. Just
he
because, although I'm not sure about the strong will, I think his courage is
mhm.
without
His courage
question.
and bravery and not stubbornness, tenacity, I think is also kind of a trait of the Gryffindor.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, Gryffindor is the only place I can see
I think
Sulu
so.
going
Yeah,
in.
absolutely.
Again, at one point in time, I thought about Slytherin, but there's no Slytherin qualities in him
There,
unless you count ambition. But that's more of an OG timeline Sulu
I will say,
trait.
however, as pilot, his wisdom and his creativity to get the Enterprise out of scenario after scenario after scenario are somewhat Ravenclaw. I mean, there are Ravenclaw tendencies with his Gryffindor
So
masculinity,
he's
so
the
to speak.
Hermione of the group.
I would say yes, absolutely.
He's
I
the
really,
Hermione of the group.
at least Hermione tendencies.
Yeah.
Hermione adjacent. How's that?
Hermione adjacent.
Hermione
Perfect.
adjacent.
All right. Last up, we have Chekhov, as played by Anton Yelchin. This very young actor. I think he was only like 26 or 27 when he died. Was
Tragic accident.
It was a very tragic accident. His car brake failed, and he was behind it at the time, and he just couldn't get out of the way. Um, and it's very sad because he was a great young actor, and I feel like he probably would have gone on to had just this incredible
Career.
career.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, I guarantee you he would have found his way into the MCU,
Yeah.
possibly into Simon Pegg's Mission Impossible, because to hear the cast talk about him, he was everybody's
He
buddy.
was everybody's baby brother. I
Yeah.
mean, he was the one they all looked out after, and just go and listen to some of the cast.
As
Um,
well as other co-stars,
oh,
because
without doubt,
Anton
yeah.
had a
He had
career
he had a
before
great
Star
career,
Trek.
right?
He was in one of the Terminator movies. He, like I said, he was on ER. He had such a precious baby face that everybody wanted to cast him in just these sweet, precious boy roles, and he
Right.
played them brilliantly.
He was a very versatile actor. We know him in Star Trek for his Russian accent,
Mhm.
but I think he was American, was he not?
He was born in America, but both of his parents were Russian.
Gotcha. So that
Yeah.
would have come
Anton,
naturally
yeah,
for him.
either his parents or grandparents were both Russian
Gotcha.
by birth, so he knew the Russian accent
Yeah.
well.
Brilliant actor gone too soon.
And Chekhov, he's the navigator and sometimes engineer. I know he takes over as engineer in Into Darkness because he has to fill the hole Scotty leaves.
Hmm.
And he is a bit of a transporter genius because he pulls off transporter miracles in the first
Right. Right.
film.
Yep.
So where does Chekhov go? I think I know where I want him.
Okay, I do too.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Ravenclaw,
Ravenclaw. Yay! I get
without doubt. He is brilliant,
Chekhov.
brilliant, brilliant. The character is absolutely brilliant,
Hmm.
wonderfully portrayed by Anton, and it is a good throwback to the original Chekhov as well.
Hmm.
The role in and of itself is a Ravenclaw role.
Hmm. And
The,
the way Anton portrays it is equally so. Again, because the actor tends to be such a cinnamon roll,
Mhm.
he could have very easily gone to Hufflepuff, but just again, the transporter miracles he
Oh,
pulls
without doubt,
off,
yeah.
the creative way he manages to navigate them through things, and he also has a bit of a witty tongue
Probably
in
second
him
only to Spock as far as
as intelligence.
intelligence
Yes.
goes. Not as much because of his youth.
Hmm.
The wisdom part of it is not as developed, perhaps. That's why I really probably you know just creative like
Hmm.
crazy. In like you said, in the transporter role, and then taking over for
Scotty.
Scotty in engineering. It just shows that that young role was so versatile to the operations of the Enterprise,
Hmm.
and he wasn't somebody like Kirk and Uhura who had to connive their way to
He
the
was just
Enterprise.
picked for the Enterprise by
That's
Mr. Pot,
you know
Captain
that's
Pike.
that's something that we didn't point out as we went through our list today. All of these players, except for Uhura and Kirk,
Were
didn't have to
chosen.
manipulate anybody to get on the Enterprise. They were brilliant, brilliant people to get chosen for this 5-year
Flagship.
mission. Absolutely.
They were chosen for this flagship when everything with in this timeline
In
that
this timeline,
when
right.
everything with what's his name, that Nero
Yes.
with the bad guy started to go down and be weird and hinky, and so Starfleet's
Setting
like,
up the timeline to begin with, yeah.
let's go figure this out. And I think the captains got to pick the cadets that joined them. So Pike handpicked Bones and Spock to an extent, I think.
Scotty.
No,
No,
Scotty's
Scotty
found
doesn't
on the
come on
planet
until
later.
later. Yeah.
Sulu and Chekhov.
Sula and Chekhov. Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, they were not supposed to be the ones driving and navigating by themselves because
Right.
they were the junior officers, but they were still all brilliant. And I think, yes, Chekhov definitely belongs in Ravenclaw.
Absolutely. This is an interesting exercise just because we get to talk about Star Trek, but we also get to talk about the brilliance of this Kelvin timeline. We really, Paramount, get it together. We really want to see another film with
In this
this cast.
timeline,
Bring them back, Paramount. You and Amazon need to get your stuff together and bring us these franchises that we so dearly love. Paramount with Star Trek, Amazon with Bond. Get it together. Let the creative people who have given us these incredible franchises do their job in the way that they have successfully done it for years and years and years. Get your bureaucratic mess out of the way, quit playing power grabs, and just give the entertainment public what they are desiring. These wonderful franchises that we dearly, dearly love. I'm
you
just a little passionate about this,
you'll
and I
make the money
don't
that
need a
you're
hat to talk to
currently
me for it.
losing if
Absolutely.
you just get yourselves out of your own ways. You will make the money that you are right now losing by not producing these films.
Amazon, we love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but we don't need a remake.
We did do a recast
We
it.
did do a recast it. Hey, go and look at our recast it for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We've got some great, great. And when you need us for casting directors, please give us a ring. You can touch base with us here at Crossing Kin. We'll be in the garage.
But that concludes our sorting for today. There
And
were a
our
few
rant,
we
so to speak.
disagreed on. Please let us know down in the comments where you guys fall on the ones we disagreed.
We are in agreement that the Kelvin Timeline is
It's
a
wonderful.
wonderful three-picture film. It's a wonderful trilogy. We want the quad coming, okay, before they get too old.
Yep. So for now, from Cross and Kin.
And before we get too old.
So for now, from Cross and Kin, I'm Kristen.
I'm Randy from the Cross and Kin Garage.
We will see you next time.
Later.
Bye.